You increase your sensitivity to higher frequency information.
Yes.
It's as simple as that. An example of that idea is the way our society functions in pure synchronism. Everyone is exactly where they need to be, when they need to be there, with whom they need to be. And the idea is that we don't really function on memory. We simply know what we need to know when we need to know it. It's as simple as that. No different than the idea of being psychic. It's just being in tune with what you need to know at that moment because you're in tune with more of yourself. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
First, I'd like to thank you and the SSANI for your service.
It is our pleasure.
I'm currently on a trip around the world
Oh,
to
all right.
experience different cultures and learn from them.
Wow, what a coincidence. I'm currently on a trip around the galaxy doing the same thing.
Cool, I want to do that one day too. But for now, I am very passionate about ancient mysteries. And
Oh, one moment. Let's feel the weight of the way you put that. I'm very passionate about, pause for effect, ancient mysteries.
it's
Yes,
that
how
exciting.
so?
Yes. So, after this, I'm on my way through South America, basically going overland, Mexico, Central America, down to South America.
Yes.
And based on the readings of Edgar Cayce, he said Atlantis was in the Bermuda Triangle sort of area.
A large portion of it was in the Caribbean, yes, involving what you now understand as the Bahamas and Cuba and Puerto Rico, and certain areas in the North American landmass and in the Yucatan Peninsula, and a few over in the European side as well. Remember that when it was described as being bigger than Libya and Asia Minor in some of your literature, it meant as an empire, not as a landmass.
I understand that. And you said they influenced Egypt, but I was wondering what other cultures in this region in Central and South America was also influenced technologically by Atlantis. And what, like, I met a Mexican guy who said there's a site called Atlantis de Tula in Mexico, which I'm going to check out, but I would also...
Well, again, there are colonies in many places, especially in the idea of the Central American area, the Yucatan Peninsula, the coasts of South America, and many of the Caribbean islands are all part of what used to be the Atlantean Empire.
But are there still remnants that we can go look at today?
There are a few, although from what we perceive from space, I wouldn't recommend going into that area right now.
Yeah, well, I'll give it a go. I put out positive vibes.
All right. Good idea.
The other question is to do with etheric energy. Since my ability to feel energy has sort of been dampened in this lifetime somewhat, I've been very interested.
Dampened?
Dampened.
By what?
I don't know.
Sure you do. It's dampened by your belief system.
Well, maybe.
Maybe. There is nothing else that can dampen it. So what do you believe about yourself that makes you conclude that your ability to sense energy has been dampened?
I just notice the way that other people interact with each other is different than what I do.
Well, who says you're supposed to interact like them?
See, I realize that it's happening for a reason.
And what would that reason be?
Well, it's not distracting me from other goals and purposes that I'm meant to fulfill.
Then why would you call it a dampening instead of a necessary focus? Why define it in a negative way instead of a way that works for you?
Thank you, that's what I meant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You feel less damped now?
Yes, thank you. And you actually helped me with that throughout the session. But
all right.
My question is, how did your society first technologically learn how to measure and manipulate etheric energy?
Well, do understand that as a hybrid society, in a sense what you might call an artificially created one, we had a little bit of a head start, yes?
Yes.
We were given a lot of knowledge. Therefore, we didn't necessarily start in the way that you did. But we had our own challenges. We went through our own evolutionary path, and we had to learn things in similar ways to you, but we did have a head start. So we understood from the get-go that such things existed and such things were possible. And over time, because we were taught in what direction to go to train ourselves to become sensitive to that, ultimately we simply did.
Mm-hmm. So any hints for us to sort of scientifically start to explore this?
Say that again.
Any way for us to can you give us any suggestions on where to start scientifically investigating etheric energy?
Well, many of your scientists and physicists are beginning to understand certain things, different kinds of fields that exist, but the one that they haven't really touched on yet is the idea of a consciousness field. That will give them everything they need to know if they start looking in that direction, that consciousness also expresses itself as a field. Does that help?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
And a you good day.
Oh, this is really exciting.
Yes, it is.
I have so I'm really appreciative of the 7 neutral needs that you brought forward.
All right.
And my question pertains to the first neutral need, and that is air.
Yes.
And I'm curious about when air quality is compromised, or when food quality is compromised, or water for that matter.
Yes.
And what it is that we can do to support ourselves in receiving those needs when things might be compromised.
Well, first of all, depending upon your belief system, you can find that it might be wise for many of you in the consensus agreement upon your planet to simply take an opportunity now and then to detoxify your system.
Yes.
Because if your air is polluted and your water is polluted and your food is polluted, then those pollutants will lodge in the cellular structure of your body. And you will not be capable of absorbing the nutrients that your body needs to remain in a healthy state, because the absorption is being blocked by the toxins. So if you, as thoroughly as possible, detoxify your body, then you will find that you can absorb the nutrients of the food that you take in, which would be as natural and organic as possible and free from toxins as possible. And then your body will have the elements it needs to deal with just about anything. So doing that on a relatively regular basis, once every 3 months, 6 months, year at least, may allow you to maintain a balance. Now, of course, it also has to do with your belief system. But again, as we said before, it doesn't necessarily work to force yourself to say, well, I'm supposed to be more spiritual about this, and I should just be able to believe that stuff away. Yes, it's possible. But if you don't really believe you can believe it away, then it might actually be the path of least resistance to just do the detoxification. You have to be honest within yourself about what you actually believe is most likely to be done by you, what you're most probable, most capable of actually doing. And eventually, as you practice, yes, you can gain a handle, you can get more practice and more experience with just knowing how to shift your belief so that those things belong to another reality and they no longer affect you because you're in a different reality where they never did affect you. You understand?
Yes.
But if you are honest with yourself and don't believe you're actually at that point, then follow the path of least resistance that synchronicity brings to you, because that's still a product of your belief. It's just that you're using a permission slip that is a reflection of what you believe is possible for you, and that's the easiest way to circumvent the old belief system, by using a permission slip that gives you permission to do so, or that allows you to give yourself permission to do so more easily than sitting there straining to do it in a way you think is supposed to be more representative of being a spiritual, uplifted being. You follow me?
Yes. So I'm curious if you can offer any, encourage any particular ways to detox?
I just gave you an idea, but there are companies that do exist on your planet that already have various formulations. If you do your own research, you will see that there are certain substances on your planet that are very good for causing detoxification effects in the body.
Yes.
But since we have been asked this question over and over and over and over and over and over again,
and again,
we have directed many to the company that does exist on your planet in the channel's general location that has created an extremely effective detoxification program, and that organization is referred to as American Botanical Pharmacy in your Los Angeles area.
Great.
So you don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Okay. So so I live in Denver, and we were really affected by a lot of the smoke coming south from a lot of the fires in Montana and in Oregon, and so it was advised to stay in your homes and have these really high quality air filters and whatnot. And so that's, that just felt very confining to me, and it felt like, wow, I'm in a reality that I don't like right now, and I would like to switch it. And so that's kind of where that
All right, but
came
again,
from.
remember, what happens for a reason, and it's something that gives you a chance to practice remaining in a positive state rather than assuming that it has to change. Because remember, if you are, shall we say, of a state where you are allowing what's happening outside to determine your state, then you are not in a self-empowered state. It's about choosing the state you prefer regardless of what's happening outside, because that's the true measure of change. The true measure of change is not whether the outside world changes. It's whether you choose the state you prefer, even if the outside world stays the same. Because then you're proving you've changed, and you're not making the change conditional on what's going on around you. You are using what's going on around you in a way that is reflective of the reality you prefer as a state of being. Does that make sense?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
then it will probably change. But you can't, quote unquote, want it to change, because then you're saying that you can't be in the state you prefer to be in unless it changes.
Absolutely.
You follow?
Absolutely.
So stay in the state, use it that way to remind you of the state you prefer, take action on the things that are commensurate with the state in a way that you prefer to, and then it may change, but you can't need it to change.
Thank you.
That's not one of the needs.
Right.
Needing something to change.
To change.
Change is a constant. It's one of the laws. Things will change. But you can't need it to change, because you don't need it to change. You can use it the way it comes to you to change yourself. Yes?
Absolutely.
Does
Thank
that help?
you. Totally.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I love you. Thank you.
Our unconditional love to you as well.
Thank you for being here. I've been exploring, and I'd like your assistance or
All right.
remarks.
Speak up a bit so that all may hear what you have to share.
I've been exploring the idea of, like what you just said, circumstances do not matter, materializes, that the main thing is your state of being, which materializes. So that's had me going for quite a few years. And without a story, I had a couple of near-death experiences.
How exciting.
Yes, that's the only way I go uncle, and I get something that's being presented to me and hidden in plain sight.
Yes.
So since years ago, with your breath, we started there, and then when I nearly, I was cut off with pneumonia, so I couldn't do the toroidal breath complete, up and down the channel. So then I came to, just out of survival, because I really was about to leave the body, and that's when I discovered the gulp of the divine, receiving into the heart, sending it in a triangular pattern. And when I hit it on accident, during this experience, within moments, I went from really looking 104, and I went back to like 40s, and I have people in the audience that's actually seen that. So what did it? I don't know what it did, but I'm asking, maybe you can add something to the equation for this presentation.
Well, it's like pushing a reset button.
Okay, rewire, that's
So.
good. So now, with everything you've said today, and we're navigating, so to speak, and aspiring to a frequency to where we are present in the I am presence.
Yes.
And with me and my experience and what I'm sharing is connecting with this breath that, when measured on a neuro headset, measures you as a vortex, as above, so
Yes.
below.
Yes.
Now, to me, I find that it's kind of a navigational tool to be used to be as present as you possibly can in any given moment through, like you said, the state of being in any
All right.
circumstance.
Then that's the way you're using it as a permission slip.
Okay, but it actually does something physiologically to the body so that
Of course.
you're all there, not just, in one
Yes.
compartment.
But it's not doing it, you are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a given. I mean, in my reality. Anyway,
All right.
thank you for saying it because I didn't bring it up. Now, I don't really care if the Earth is flat or round, but lately I've been presented with the fact, which kinds of holographically speaking, we're all kind of joined in this simulation today, right now,
Yes.
from all over the planet and planets. And all of a sudden it kind of makes sense when you look at the ancient symbols where they do show the upper and the lower.
Yes.
And it makes sense in a holographic way to actually manage, in some amazing way, the endless nanoparticles that is existence.
Yes.
So I'm thinking by first step, the Trinity, that's the triangular breath.
Always a trinity, not
Moves
just a
into the
duality.
next
There's
shape.
always a center point.
Right. And then moves into the other shape, the other triangle, and then the circle,
Yes.
the square, and then on out.
Yes.
So in my experience, I'm thinking it's hidden in plain sight in everything anyway.
Always
but-
is.
Exactly. So now, do you have a comment to say about flat Earth?
Flat Earth. Yes. Long time ago, when extraterrestrials first arrived to observe Earth, it was very, very flat. Flat as a pancake. Well, even flatter than that. But then, some enterprising individual on the Earth finally traveled to the point where they found a valve sticking out of the side. And they blew into it and blew into it and blew into it and inflated the flat Earth into a ball, which is where it is now. I guess you could say that individual must have been full of hot air. And that's what we have to say about that. Understand that the Earth is expressed like anything in a number of dimensions. In some dimensions, you would perceive the planet as two-dimensional, flat in your language, as you say. But that's a perception of another dimensional expression of the Earth. The Earth in your dimension isn't flat. It's a sphere because that's how it's expressed in your dimensions, 3 of space and 1 of time. And there are higher dimensional versions of the Earth as well. But when people start expanding and exploring their consciousness in new ways, sometimes they can take some things a little too literally in the same dimension when what they're perceiving is aspects of things in other dimensions because now their senses can stretch far enough to see that. But they sometimes misunderstand and assume that what they're perceiving in another dimension is actually the truth of this dimension, and it's not.
Well, see,
It's just an overlap.
That would explain.
Yes.
Back in the ancient days, you'll see all these models of like that kind of an idea of
Yes,
a
yes,
flat
yes.
Earth with an underworld. And then now they're coming back to it. But I think what they might be expressing is not being able to say it as you did, the dimensional reality of that exists all at once.
They need to understand the multidimensionality so that they can determine and discern which is relevant as an expression for each dimension. Not just assume that just because they might be perceiving one dimension, that is the expression in this dimension.
Correct. Well, that's good because there's a few people that really are amazing beings, but they're leaning toward the flat Earth. But I think the
Well, then they
dimensional
need to go and
explanation-
find the valve
the
and
valve
start blowing
then
into
blowing
it.
it up. Well, I needed to give him a good answer because all I could do is give my own, and
Yes. Does this help you?
that helps me a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shivai.
Shivai. And so, good day.
Good day. It's my first time coming to your
What a
event.
coincidence. It's our first time interacting this way with you, too. What are the odds?
Pretty good.
All right. Speak up and be bold.
All right. My mom put my name in and it got picked, so now I'm up here.
So you mean you actually didn't have a question to begin with?
I mean,
Is that what you're saying?
there's always questions.
Yes, there are always questions, but you didn't actually walk up intending to have one. Is that what you're saying?
There's been a few questions going on in my head.
Yes, such as?
Well, I'm kind of at a crossroads in my life where
Well, that's exciting, isn't it?
maybe,
Maybe. Would you prefer that it is exciting?
of course,
Then why not allow it to be?
I do very exciting things for work right now.
Yes. What's the crossroads?
Crossroad, what to do.
What to do?
I've climbed to the top of my job right now.
So what would
and
you rather be doing then? What's more exciting?
It's called catastrophic adjusting.
It's called a catastrophic adjusting.
That is the job name.
Can you be more specific about defining what that means?
When there is a catastrophic disaster,
Yes.
I will go there and help people out.
And that is exciting to you?
Yes,
So you are doing that.
I am not.
Why not? I thought you said it was exciting for you.
This is the crossroad.
But if that's your excitement, it's not a crossroad. It's a straight path.
It's about
Follow
getting- It's about getting there.
Yes, it's about acting on it. Because if you don't act on what excites you the most, you won't have any clue where you actually need to wind up. You will stand only in the crossroad, not knowing where to go. When you act to the best of your ability without any assumption that it actually has to come to fruition, then you will see where you actually need to wind up. Because synchronicity will deposit you where you need to be. But you have to take the first step by actually taking whatever action you are capable of taking on the thing that excites you the most, even if you don't insist that it has to actually work out that way. You will only find out where you're going to wind up if you take that step. You follow?
Sure do.
That's how it works. That's how the mechanism works. You have to take the action to find out where you actually need to wind up. Yes? So what action could you take in the direction of your excitement?
It's all about the money right now, I guess.
No.
It's hard to get past.
Don't put conditions on it that don't need to be there. Change your definition of abundance. Our definition of abundance is the ability to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Period. That's it. That's it. If you understand how the machine works, how the mechanism of existence works, you will understand that there is a much broader definition of abundance than you're allowing for in your life. As long as you have whatever form of support you need to be able to do what you need to do that excites you, that you're passionate about, you are abundant. If somebody gives you something, that's a form of abundance. If synchronicity comes into your life that allows you to experience something, that's a form of abundance. Don't insist that money is the only form. I understand it's a valid form of expression on your planet. That's fine. But when you focus too much on one form of abundance, you close the door through which other forms can come because you're not recognizing them as forms of abundance. Sometimes things may need more than one form. Maybe a little bit of money will come, and the rest of it needs to be given to you. Or you need to be given something, and then synchronicity will fill in the gaps. You need to allow for all forms of abundance to appear in your life so that you can see that it will support you in allowing you to be able to do what you need to do when you need to do it. The insistence on only one form stops you and makes you stand at the crossroads wondering what to do. You have to lighten up your definitions, broaden your definitions, and choose definitions that work for you for these things and act on your excitement. That's the formula. It's an instruction manual. Please, all of you, understand. These ideas we are sharing with you are not just nice-sounding philosophies. We are actually giving you an instruction manual for how reality works. It is absolutely No different than if someone were to give you an instruction manual to operate one of your automobiles. Oh, I see. Oh, I put the key in the ignition. I turn the key. Oh, yes, the engine started. Flip, flip, flip. Oh, there's this thing called a gear shift. I put it into this gear. If I step on the gas, the car will go forward. If I step on the brake, it will stop. If I put it in this gear, it will reverse. Step on the gas, step on the brake. Oh, I see. It's an instruction manual for how the car works. And if I follow it, the car will work. All of these concepts we're giving you are not just nice sounding ideas. We're actually describing the instruction manual to existence. So if you understand that the formula of actually taking an action on the thing that excites you to the best you're able, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further, with absolutely no insistence or assumption as to what the outcome of the action should look like or where you should wind up, if you actually follow that formula, you will wind up where you need to because you're actually activating the way reality works. It's an instruction manual. Does that make sense?
Sure does.
Does it help?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm just nervous, but yes, it does.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Narnia. Do you wish it to be your turn?
Yes. The question that came from one of our Ustream listeners was, how can terrible things happen if everything is made of love? How can a being of love commit terrible deeds and still feel okay with it?
Understand that what you're calling love is simply the vibration of existence itself. And remember that it's not love, it's unconditional love. Therefore, because everything is positive, negative, and neutral, unconditional love does not judge the negative. It loves it equally with the positive and the neutral. Because unconditional love knows that the negative can serve many purposes. So the idea is to recognize what you prefer and be in the state that you prefer that is representative of the balancing of those three energies so that you can then act on the energy you prefer. But the idea is that existence isn't committing anything. It's not, in a sense, actually acting. It is everything. It doesn't really need to act. It doesn't really need to have an intention to do anything. It is everything. But it can experience itself as pieces of itself, as reflections of itself, which is what all of you and all of us are. And those reflections, from their point of view, can decide, this is what I prefer, this is what I do not prefer, but still acknowledge the unconditionality of existence in that there are these choices, positive, negative, and neutral. That's just the way it's structured. And all we're talking about is a mechanical energy, in a sense. Positive energy is simply that which is collective, connective, expansive. Negative energy is simply that which is disconnective, contractive. And in that sense, therefore, you're only talking about something that is a type of energy, an expression and an experience of energy. There's no value judgment on it. Therefore, it's about what tools you need to use. In tomorrow's transmission, we're going to cover this a little bit more, because when we talk about the idea of limitations unlimited, we're going to explore these concepts of positive and negative a little bit more thoroughly, and perhaps that will also give you a deeper understanding of what we're talking about in a way that might answer that question more fully. All right?
Okay.
All right. Now is it time for your nutrition break?
But I did have a follow-up question.
A follow-up. Oh, all right.
So it's sort of like along the idea of when what appear to be bad things happen to good people.
Yes.
And I guess the whole idea that being on Earth means dealing with negative and dealing with neutral.
But I'm going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
You know why?
Because you're going to talk about it tomorrow.
No. Because the phrase itself, bad things happening to good people, is a very arrogant phrase. You have no idea why that's happening to someone. You don't know what they're going to get out of it. You don't know why that's there. It's not your life. It's an observation from outside. And even if the person themselves says that, why do bad things always happen to me? I'm a good person. That's a value judgment, and it doesn't necessarily take into effect exactly the reason why that was created. Yes, it's possible that some things are manifest from negative and fear-based places, of course. But you can always benefit from what's going on. It doesn't necessarily always look like what you think. It doesn't always mean what you think it looks like. You don't know why that's happening for that person. Something that may to you seem to be the worst possible thing that could happen to that person may be the best possible thing that ever happened to them in their lives, because it might change them in ways that they don't believe they could have changed in any other way. You don't know. You have to take it on a person-by-person, case-by-case basis to know what's really going on mechanically with the positive or negative energy that might be being experienced in those scenarios. You cannot necessarily just give it a blanket idea that, oh, that's a very bad thing happening to that very good person. That shouldn't be happening. You have no idea why that's going on until you really investigate it. So the blanket statement itself is a fallacy and misleading. Make sense?
Yes, and it makes sense that whenever you're challenged really intensely
Yes.
by things like that, that it all comes down to whether or not you can find the state of being that will allow it to transform.
Exactly. And it's not even about finding it, but I know what you mean. It's really just about making a decision that that's the only choice you have, to be in the state of being you prefer, and that there simply isn't any other choice that makes sense to you at that moment. Period.
It's nice that creation handed you a key.
Exactly. And now you can enjoy the fact that creation will hand you some food. Take your nutrition break. We will resume this transmission after your break. Thank you. All right, I'll say let us continue the transmission with the continuance of your comments and questions, if you wish.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Okay, I got my name speak twice, so I think I'm desperate. Sort of. Okay, I have two challenges right now.
Yes?
One is how to be present, and another challenge is how to love myself.
How to love yourself?
Yes.
How to be present?
Yeah.
May I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is there any time when you actually aren't present? When you are past or future? Are you here now?
Physically, yes, but I have sort of anxiety, and then my mind is racing all the times.
Racing, racing, racing.
Racing thoughts.
Well, what are your fears? What are you afraid will happen to you?
That's what I'm asking.
Say again.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know what I'm afraid of or what my fear is.
Of course you do. I'll ask it this way. starting with this line of questioning. Are you living your highest excitement? Yes or no?
Yes.
Then how can you be afraid if you're living your highest excitement?
I don't know.
So the clue is, in that answer, if you are experiencing fear, you are not living your highest excitement. Because if you're actually in a state of excitement, there is no definition of fear within it. When you experience fear, you have left the state of excitement. Do you understand?
Yes.
So, I'll ask the question again this way. What are you afraid will happen if you continue to act on your highest excitement?
I've never thought about it.
Think of it now. What are you afraid will happen if you continue to act on your highest excitement all the time? What are you afraid might happen?
I will be somebody else.
What's wrong with being somebody else? Because the only somebody else you could possibly be is more of yourself if you're acting on your highest excitement. When you give over to fear and choose fear, that's when you're not being you. That's when you're being somebody else. So since you're already being somebody else, and you're used to doing that by giving into your fear, why not stop being somebody else and be yourself by acting on your excitement?
Probably because I know what or who or what kind of person I don't want to be, but still I'm not quite clear about what kind of person that I want to be.
But if you start at least knowing what kind of person you do not prefer to be,
I'm crystal clear.
then what's left? If you are doing everything you can to not be the person you don't prefer to be, would that not mean automatically that what's left is being the person that you do prefer to be? What else is there?
Well, I don't know.
Exactly. Nothing.
Probably that's what I'm afraid of, that there's somebody that I don't know.
But there are many things you don't know. You will never know everything. Do you think you have to know certain things before you can simply act on your excitement?
I have OCD. I really want to know everything.
You can't know everything. It's not possible for you to know everything, and in fact, knowing everything is getting in your way. Do you understand? Yeah. You're not allowing room to flow. You're not allowing room for spontaneity. You're not allowing room for synchronicity. Insisting on knowing everything before you're willing to take a step is the surest way to stop yourself from taking any step, because you will never know everything you need to know. You can't. Your physical mind isn't capable of knowing everything it needs to know to move through life. May I ask you another question?
Yes.
Have you ever been given a present?
Pardon?
Have you ever been given a present, like on your birthday? A gift? Have you ever been given a gift?
No.
Never? No one's ever given you any gifts? Ever in your life, on your birthday or anything?
Well, I can count it with my fingers, one hand.
Why have you never received gifts from anyone?
Probably that I'm hungry of love because I never get loved.
Well, you have to start with loving yourself.
Yes,
why should anyone else love you if you don't love yourself?
That's my challenge, as I said.
So, what's stopping you from loving yourself?
I don't like myself.
Sure you do.
I don't like myself.
But that must only mean that you don't think you're worthy of it. Why don't you think you're worthy of it? Why don't you think you deserve love?
Oh, probably because of my childhood trauma. I was constantly denied by my mom and humiliated by her.
All right. But now you are not a child anymore, are you?
No, but that trauma is still there. The pain is still there.
Who says the trauma is still here? Okay. You do. You're making the connection. You're creating a past connection that no longer exists. You're assuming the trauma is still with you. You're creating a continuity that doesn't have to be there.
But I got confused. One night, I sort of remembered those sad memories and let it go.
But you are creating those memories now. You see, you think remembering is of the past. It's not. You're creating memories every moment.
So those memories are still serving me, sort of?
They don't exist for you if you understand that they don't exist for you now, because every moment you are a new person, literally.
Yes.
In order to experience what you're calling a memory of the past as if it's real, you have to actually recreate that over and over and over and over again. You have to say, this is part of who I am right now. This is part of who I am right now. This is part of who I am right now. And you're doing this billions of times per second because you have created an assumption that you have to do that. You don't. You can break the continuity. Whatever happened didn't happen to you, it happened to someone else because you are no longer that person. Literally, no longer and never have been that child. You can actually re-identify, redefine yourself right now as a completely different person who never had that past, who never had that history, if you understand how reality works. You are zero every moment, square one every moment, back to scratch every moment, and the only way that it seems as if that's your past is because you are continuing to believe and insist that it is when it's not. That's another person. She has nothing to do with you. You have nothing to do with her, except for the pieces that you want to remain connected to, that you believe serve you at this point. But if there are pieces you believe no longer serve you, then they're not real for you because they never happened to you, the person you are now.
Okay.
This is literal. It's not a metaphor. The way you experience physical reality, the way you experience time, it's a side effect. Time is a side effect of your consciousness shifting through billions of versions, parallel versions of yourself every second. It's like frames on a film strip, where the projector light has to go through each frame in order to create the illusion of movement and time and change. But this frame over here really has absolutely nothing to do with this frame back here. They're two completely different frames. And when you decide to project your consciousness light through a different frame, you will see that this frame has nothing to do with the other frames if you don't prefer that it does. This is actually physically how reality is constructed, a frame at a time, billions of times per second. So every moment you get to decide what frame you are, how you define that moment, who you are in that moment, and it has to have nothing, doesn't have to have anything to do with who you have ever been, because that wasn't you. Is this sinking in a little bit?
Yes.
Let this idea percolate within you. Start exploring, really start understanding and wrapping your mind around the fact that you truly, literally are a different person every moment. I know that when you look in the mirror and you say, well, that still looks like my face, it's not the face that was there a split second ago. It's another one that you've created to create the illusion of continuity, the illusion that you're the same person. Person and personality are artificial constructs. How you define them is how you experience them. So all you're actually saying is, at some point in what you call the past, someone convinced you to buy into a belief system that you are the same person every single moment, and that what happens to one version of you must continue to happen to all the other versions of you. That's one way to experience reality, but it's not the only way, and it is absolutely false in a general sense. It's only true if you have bought into it as a truth. But if it no longer serves you to think of yourself that way, as having been that child, because it simply doesn't resonate with you anymore, and the things that were done simply don't serve you anymore to hold on to, You have every right and every power to let that go because it actually doesn't exist for the new person you are every moment until you say it does. You are in complete control of feeling out of control. You can never be out of control. To be able to have an experience of being out of control, you have to be in control to create the out of control experience. That's what you're doing because you have been convinced that that's what you must do. But there is absolutely no rule within creation that says you have to do that. You can decide every moment who you are, and you can decide that what was has nothing to do with what is. It's up to you. I understand it may take you a little practice to wrap your mind around this concept of how reality is structured, and that's all right. But we would recommend and suggest that you do practice that and wrap your mind around this understanding of the nature and structure of reality, because it will set you free when your mind finally grasps it. You will be free to be who you prefer to be. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Another question, please. I'm a massage therapist,
Yes.
and I'm really happy about what I'm doing right
All
now.
right.
And I understand what you said. All techniques are permission slips, and the
Yes.
healers never heal. And
Yes.
but I'm still curious about the idea behind acupuncture and meridian lines, please.
You must repeat that.
Okay, the traditional Chinese medication.
Yes.
The idea is people have energy lines. We
Yes,
call
I
it
understand.
the meridian lines, and also
Yes.
acupuncture points.
Yes. So,
What's the idea behind that?
the idea is that everything is a vibrational pattern of energy, of consciousness. So some people can work with that, are sensitive to that, can understand how to read those energy maps, and other people simply don't get that. They don't work with that.
But
they don't work that way.
how it works?
It works through resonance, through vibration. In other words, any healer is doing this. No matter what the technique, no matter what the permission slip, all healers are doing the following thing. They are creating a resonance within their own energy field. And that resonance, that vibration, is representative of the balanced, healed state. When a person comes to you to be healed, what they then do, if they wish to, if they believe they can do, whether they know it or not, they attempt to match the vibrational field you're giving off. And if they choose to match it, if they choose to synchronize and harmonize with that energy vibration in your field and create that same vibration in their field, like two tuning forks vibrating in harmony, then the state of being that you are suggesting to them will then allow them to experience that in their own field because they've matched that frequency and they will heal themselves.
So it means take both sides, both the healers and the patients, to agree that this technique works. So.
Yes. Because sometimes many people may go to a healer with the strong belief that they cannot be healed. Therefore, if somebody does not experience a healing or a balancing and goes away, you have still given them what they asked for because they still came to you to prove they can't be healed. So they got what they wanted. So you've still done them the service of simply being there for them to allow them to prove to everyone they cannot be healed. You have still given them that gift.
Okay, thank you.
Does that help you?
Very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. So recently, about 2 months ago, I had a private with you.
Yes.
And leaving that private, my boyfriend and I picked up our new kitten, which was very exciting. And then a week later, our kitten protruded its organs out of its anus.
Yes. That will
And-
happen sometimes.
Yeah, except for this kitten didn't have the neurological pathway to close its anus.
All right.
So then its anus would be open forever. So we went
Forever?
down.
Well, not forever, but...
Yeah, not forever, but for this lifetime. And so we went down the pathway of seeing a surgeon and seeing what we could do. And
All right.
so we decided to ultimately put him down
All right.
after 7 days of having him.
Yes.
So what
Was the lesson for you?
Yes, please.
Well, what was the lesson for you? Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
Imagining that entire scenario, what did you learn that you otherwise might not have learned had that not happened?
I love taking care of people and things.
So what will you do with the lesson the kitten gave you?
Take care of my next kitten and my children with lots of love.
Does that help?
Yeah.
Can it be that simple? Can it be that obvious?
I didn't feel like it was that simple because it felt very traumatic at the time.
Yes, but many times animal consciousness will unconditionally provide for you a very simple and obvious lesson that puts you in a state that is representative of the state of what it is that is actually true for you and what you could be doing. They will give you the opportunity, in a sense, to practice with them.
Yeah, he definitely did that, 100%.
Then honor what the animal has done as a gift for you by carrying through what you learned about yourself and what it is you wish to do. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, that does.
Anything else?
We then went and spreaded his ashes across Bell Rock, so that was pretty fun.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
So you're saying you made an ash out of the kitten?
Yeah. Kinda. Yeah, so something else.
Yes.
We're getting another kitten soon, so that's exciting as well, something to take care of. But you mentioned earlier about fevers being a releasing.
They can be, yes.
And recently, so in my past, I've had a lot of in-depth dreams, and you and I have discussed that.
Yes.
And then I went through a recent period where there was 2 years of like no dreams at all. And in the last week, I've been having a lot of fevers in the middle of the night, but I've also been dreaming more.
Yes.
And that's connected by releasing the energy and allowing it to flow in.
These things will go in cycles. They will fluctuate. There will be different patterns within you as you gather the information you need and allow yourself more opportunity to become more conductive of the energy that you are asking for as an upgrade,
Yes.
so to speak.
And I've recently been asking more as I go to sleep, too.
And again, the more you use it, the more you put it out there, the more it will flow through you. Yes?
Okay. So I've been teaching more yoga as well, and that really helps me flow my energy.
All right.
So, okay.
Does that help?
Yes, that does.
Thank you.
Something else was
Yes.
when we were watching little clips of the eclipse that just happened on our society,
Yes.
there was a lot of people who noticed these lights in the sky.
Yes.
Can you
You mean the stars?
the stars or UFOs?
Maybe sometimes, not always.
Okay. But they were hanging out seeing what was going on in the eclipse.
Well, yes, we will be talking about some of the significance of that in an upcoming transmission in your Los Angeles area over a 3-day period where we will be connecting some of the things we have talked about before with respect to certain parameters of our reality, how they are reflected in your reality through the devices that are known as Epsilon, Eclipse, and Epiphany. Okay. So we will shed a little bit more light on the idea of what is significant about the symbol of the eclipse at this time in your society during that transmission.
Okay.
All
That's
right.
wonderful. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Also, one more thing.
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Tell my hybrid children I love them.
Yes. Done.
Hello, Bashar.
And a you good day.
First of all, I'd like to thank you on behalf of humanity, for being such a wonderful reflection.
Oh, it's nice to meet someone who speaks on behalf of the entire humanity.
I'm sure no one will mind, but I guess.
Yes, good day.
Thank you. And so I marvel at your ability to make connections, energetic connections. Like
It's
this
the same
morning,
ability all of you have.
So that is true.
I know, that's why I said it.
But, but what I would like is some pointers. So when you were talking about I'm basically, let me talk about myself. I am a health coach. I don't practice professionally. I just help friends and family.
Yes.
But I like the way you make the connections. Like this morning, you made the connections on fever.
Yes.
And what it represents.
Yes.
I was wondering if I could go through the body and maybe you can give us some pointers that would serve as starting points for people. And
when you are willing to be in the moment, in a pure state of service, and someone has a need, the information will stand out in your inspired mind. It will just be there for you because you are willing to function in the pure synchronism of being at the right place at the right time with the right person who may need something from you at that moment. And in that moment, you will know exactly what they need, what to say, and what to do. That's how it works.
Okay. But still, would it be helpful if you gave us some pointers if I go part by part and maybe you can just say the significance?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe not.
So starting with the brain, like
the brain,
the afflictions of the brain,
yes.
Where would you start to look at things?
Well, you understand there are different frequencies that can occur within the brain, yes?
Yes.
And again, in a future transmission, we're going to be talking about this in more detail. But fundamentally speaking, when you go into different states, the brain really does exhibit different frequencies, very, very dramatically different frequencies with very dramatically different properties. And those dramatically different properties will give you dramatically different abilities. What you typically would call the channeling frequency is what you call gamma, above 40 cycles per second. When you're doing what you love to do, when you're in the zone, in peak performance, you go into gamma automatically. You are in the channeling state. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily express a different entity through you. It simply means you can be more in touch with more of yourself. The brain becomes high processing, completely coordinated, has the ability to access, synthesize, process, and output much faster in a much more holistic way. So that's why we encourage all of you to do what you love to do, because when you're doing it, you're in the channeling state. You're in the gamma state. Now, again, we will talk about other states that go hand in hand with that in an upcoming transmission. And we will give you, at that time, a particular tool called the Circle of Self-Empowerment, which takes advantage of the different frequencies that your brain can experience, allowing you to become far more harmonic within yourself and far more capable of accessing the information that you need when you need it. So we will get to that in another transmission.
Okay. I'll wait for that.
All right.
Thank you. And then eyes, like generally when people have issues with eyes, where would you say?
Are you saying eyes?
Eyes, yes.
Issues with eyes?
Yes.
Such as, for example, specifically?
Like now that I am near 50, I need to wear reading glasses. So those are the kind, and in the past I've heard you make some connections for some people.
Yes.
That now it means you probably need to look inwards or some such thing.
It might, in general, for most people, have to do with issues of focus, yes, which is not necessarily always a negative thing, you know.
No, but I'm saying, like, when I speak to people,
yes,
and you say, as you said, things come to me,
yes,
and I deliver them.
Let me stop you. Are you familiar with the deck of cards known as tarot?
Yes.
Have you ever played with them?
Once.
Keep doing it. Because what will happen is if you allow yourself to use that permission slip for you specifically, you will start to notice that as you become more proficient with it, Different images on the different cards, when you lay them out, will start to stand out to you more than other images, sometimes even an image that you might have thought wasn't even there before, but now you can see it clearly. It'll show itself as becoming larger. It'll show itself as becoming a different color. It might start to glow, whereas the other images on the same card might not. In some way, shape, or form, the symbolic image on each card that you need to understand, need to see the reflection of, need to understand the symbolic information attached to, will start to stand out as you become more proficient with that particular permission slip tool. So we would suggest that you begin to play with that and see what happens. And as that begins to happen and things begin to stand out, that informs you and feeds you the information you need in symbolic ways, we will see at that point what happens with your sight.
Okay.
All right?
Yep. Thank you.
Does that help you?
What I was thinking when I heard the 7 neutral needs,
yes,
one of the ways to look at it from the health perspective would be that any kind of issues with the body would probably be a deficiency of any particular of those 7 needs.
Yes, that's why we are suggesting that you use it as a foundation, as a base, and in any situation where you find yourself out of sorts, always go back to the base. It will always bring you back to zero.
Okay.
Yes?
So that would be a good way to look at things.
It can be a good way for many people to do. Yes.
Okay.
So thank you for intuiting that and seeing that clearly.
Thank you. And
good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Hi. I wanted to know, I had several manifestations.
Speak up, speak up.
I've had several manifestations from my drawings.
In what sense do you mean this?
Like, if I drew something, it would come true.
All right.
Physical manifestation.
All right, so that is your way of connecting and aligning and synchronizing with the energy of your manifestations. Yes?
Okay. Sometimes they're stuff that I don't prefer. Sometimes.
Well, I already talked about that, didn't I?
Yes.
If something happens that you don't prefer, stay in the state you do prefer so you can use what you don't prefer in a way that you do.
Okay.
That's the point of it popping up. Remember, we talked about excitement. We talked about it being a toolkit. It contains certain tools. One of the tools is a mirror that reveals to you anything that is out of alignment with your excitement so you can identify it and let it go. You can't work with what you don't know about. You have to identify those definitions. And the fact that it comes up, brought to you by your excitement, even though the thing itself is not representative of your excitement, the fact that your excitement brought it up to you means that experiencing that, being aware of that, is part of your excitement. Figure out in your imagination how to use it in an exciting way, in a positive way, in a beneficial way. You'll get the benefit from it and you'll move on.
Okay. And then my way of doing that is like is showing me what I want to do or what is my excitement.
May I point out that you don't sound very excited right now?
Yeah.
Are you, in any way, shape, or form, acting on the things that excite you the most in life?
Yes.
Are you sure? Can you name one thing that is an expression of your passion that you do?
Drawing.
All right. And why are you excited about that?
It's something I've always been excited about.
Something I've always been excited about. You sound so very excited. Are you sure you're excited about it?
Yes.
All right. Anything else that you're excited about? Any other expression of your excitement that you act on?
Yes, many.
What?
Traveling, videography.
All right. These are all different expressions of your overall passion?
Yes.
All right.
Also UFOs and things of that nature.
All right. And so?
I'm acting on them.
If you are acting on all these things and your life is moving forward, what else do you need to do? What else do you need to know? Is that Not enough?
I guess it would be, right?
You guess?
Yeah.
Do you see where we're going here? You sound confused more than anything.
Yes.
What are you confused about? Is there something you feel is missing from all of these expressions of your excitement that you say you're doing, and yet there seems in your energy to be something that's not there? What?
Yes.
What?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. Is there something you would rather be doing that you're not doing? Is there something you're holding yourself back from doing because you're putting